What up, y'all? What's up, man? I ain't went live in a minute. But yeah, we doing something different, man. I told y'all on this channel I'm gonna just talk about stuff that I want to talk about. It ain't no like I'm not leaning towards any type of specific anything on this channel. I'm just finna, you know what I'm saying? Talk about the things that interest me. So today, what we're going to talk about is the moon landing. Hold on, I gotta get. Oh, I see what's wrong. There we go. Okay, so I got my man's here, DAAHKNESS. We gonna, you want to introduce yourself to the people?
What's going on, everybody? My name is DAAHKNESS, well, Jordan, but you can call me but DAAHKNESS. But yeah, I'm here representing, showing up for my boy, giving support.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so yeah, it ain't gonna be like no intense, disrespectful back and forth because this my man's,
No, no, no.
So I know a lot of people come on YouTube and they see debates and they think people gonna be screaming at each other and stuff, which I'm okay with, but we not gonna do that because that's just not necessary. But we gonna debate not flat Earth. If we went to, I'm so used to hating flat earthers, bro, that I just be like always thinking about that shit.
I feel you.
Cause I hate that shit. But no, we're gonna be talking about the moon landing because I don't want to explain your point. Let's just go into it. Like I don't want to misrepresent whatever your perspective is on it. So I want you to go explain that.
Okay.
We could go from there.
So first off, I'm not gonna say that I am a complete moon landing doubter.
Mm-hmm.
I am not by any means saying that it isn't possible for us to get to the moon or we didn't get to the moon. I'm more so dismantling this whole story that's been given to us and putting it back together. And the pieces of the puzzle, to me at least, are not fitting the way they say it's supposed to fit. So I don't know if it's me, if I'm just crazy. I might be. But a lot of the things that they said for this moon landing just don't add up to me. And I have a lot of doubts. I have a lot of questions. And it seems like the more I seek the answers to these questions, the more or the less things start making sense of this thing. So that's where I'm standpoint. I'm not a doubter. I mean, I'm not a complete negative person in terms of whether we made it to the moon or not, whether we can make it. But like I said, the way they said we made it to the moon and back, it just doesn't add up to me personally. But we can deconstruct it. We can, ask some questions, seek the answers together,
Mm-hmm.
and you tell me if I'm crazy. I might be,
Okay.
but you let me know if your pieces add up to mine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I mean, we ain't gonna sit here and act like we some like astrologers, right? Like astronauts. We ain't been
got all the answers.
we don't. I can't get into the meticulous numbers of anything or
right.
the nitty gritty science of it. But what's like the biggest thing you can't wrap your mind around with that whole process? Like what's like if you had to pick one the top point of what's wrong to you?
That's kind of hard to decipher because it's not really just one point. It's kind of like a domino effect. It's like if this, then this.
Okay, so is it because of all the precision that it took for them to leave land and come back? Is it just hard to conceptualize to you in a nutshell?
That's part of it again, but that's not the full brunt of it. So that's part of it.
Okay.
But I can completely take, full accountability. Like I said, we don't know the nitty-gritty and the numbers and the science and all of that. So I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I understand that part. But again, that's just the first step. That's the stepping stone.
Okay, so how about this? You want us to? I could play a video that showed what they did, and then do you want to like pause it?
Yep.
Okay,
that works.
Let's do that. All right, so we're gonna play this, and then whatever you like. All right, hold on. Let's like. What about this? All right. Is that cool?
I can't see anything.
Excuse me. You don't see I shared the screen.
It just says, oh, I gotta click it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see it?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
The Saturn V rocket that lifted the Apollo 11 spacecraft out of Earth.
And when you want me to pause it, just say pause it.
Well, let's pause right here real quick.
Okay.
So, let's consider the time of all of this. The time period. This happened in 69, right? And just thinking about the technological capabilities that we had back then compared to what we have now, that's also another factor in all of this that has me questioning, okay, how were we able to do it seemingly, on the first try? let's just say, because they said that they had another lander that orbited the moon prior to this, but in order to land and successfully get back is where they lose me. But again, just given the time period, so I'm expected to believe that we were capable of building a craft that can safely help the astronauts get to the moon, which is over 230,000 miles away,
Mhm.
in the same period of time where just a year prior they mandated that seatbelts be worn. So considering the safety measurements and all of the preparation that would have had to have gone into this mission, I don't think that they were fully equipped to make that trip and back.
Mhm.
They talked about the fuel for this shuttle and saying that they literally had 12 minutes of fuel left once they reached the moon. So with that 12 minutes of fuel, how did they how were they able to then flip the shuttle, I'm assuming, to relaunch off of the moon? They said that it connected back to the, orbiter lunar module or whatever the thing that they had orbiting the moon, and then just so happened to float back to the moon seamlessly with
Okay, wait, because you
it's
you
a
you
lot.
went through
It's a
you
lot.
went through a lot of
It's a
points.
lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
so
Let's bring it back. We can take it one step at a
Okay,
time.
so you were saying the time period. You were saying the time period. As far as the time period goes, well, you said seemingly the first attempt, but we know this isn't the first attempt, right? Like people died, like they messed up, people almost died. We had a lot of mishaps with trying to go, right? So,
Right.
I mean, did you see Hidden Figures?
Hidden Figures.
The what's it called?
It sounds
Biopic
familiar.
with Regina, not Regina.
No, I haven't.
Taraji P.
I
Henson. Yeah, like those black women, they like literally were the ones that figured out the math to get us to the moon and back. Like, so, and it's a biopic. It's, of course you're going to have your embellishments, but that's the story of how we got to the moon. So it wasn't the first attempt. Now, as far as technology goes, yeah, this was the 60s, but the 60s isn't like the 20s. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of industries boomed like from the 50s, and as we went we learned a lot. We got a lot more experience with things. They made a lot of mistakes and shit started moving. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that it's kind of like, damn, how the fuck did we do that in the 60s? And we look at the technology we have now, it's like, it seems like it's something we should have been accomplished later in the decades. You know what I'm saying? But they had a lot of mistakes. And I think that to just chalk it up as to like technology wasn't up to snuff then, I don't think that's a good enough reason to disbelieve it. What's good, Rage? I appreciate you sliding, bro.
That the technology wasn't up to snuff per se, because I mean, looking back at the technology then, any and everything is gonna seem antiquated. It's gonna seem like what is
what
that?
the fuck?
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Right. But kind of like you said, like given the time period, it's so many questions that I have, because it's like, how were they able to communicate with the shuttle the entire time? How were they able
That's a
to
good question.
communicate with them on the moon?
Like, see, my thing is like, we have all these questions, but we weren't there, so we don't have all the answers. But
Exactly.
I don't know. I might be able to look up like the type of waves they use. I don't know that number. I mean, I don't know that answer that easily. How did we communicate with
I
astronauts
think
on
they
the
said
moon?
some type of satellite.
The telemetry, TV, voice, and range communications with Earth were all via the S-band antenna. VHF was used for communications between the astronauts and the lunar module, and an orbiting CSM. That Columbia space module. I'm guessing.
So
I don't know.
apparently,
There were redundant transceivers and equipment for both S-band and VHF. VHF.
so apparently we had the technology to communicate with the shuttle traveling 230,000 miles in space, but the cell phone wasn't even invented until maybe 10 years later.
But I mean, if they're using different types of communication, you know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
okay. But also considering the fact that this was a time period where people still used rotary phones, it's like I can't wrap my
Well,
mind around
also think about this,
the
bro. What we use as everyday citizens ain't shit compared to what NASA, the government, you know what I'm saying? All the motherfuckers got access to. You know what I'm
okay.
saying? They might be sitting on flying cars right now. We don't know,
I'm
but
pretty sure
so I think we already know that we gonna get the stuff when it's
right.
yeah, when it's the
We
finished
get
product
the
for
okay.
more or
So
less.
considering that, how long do you think they've been working or they had access to this type of technology prior to
I would
this? It's
I don't
I know
know.
you don't have the answers. I
Yeah, yeah,
know, I
yeah, yeah,
know, but
yeah.
it's just things to consider. These are the things that got me, second guessing.
But I think that
Because we can sit here and say that they use the special telescope or they use the special satellite, but it's hard to just accept that and be like, yeah, that's how it worked considering everything else. You know what I'm saying?
hmm I think that's a testament to the greatness of America, bro. And I'm not even trying to like cape for the country, but I think that's really a big part of it. Like just like with Russia, they was trying to do it too, but we beat them to it. I just think that's a testament to how great like America is. Like,
Question real quick.
yeah,
Did you see the Indian moon landing?
no.
Oh God.
Oh God,
We gotta
wait, what
we gotta
happened?
touch on that later. We gotta touch on that
At
later.
another time or later today?
Probably later today. Because it kind of ties into this. It kind of ties into this.
Is what's funny?
Bro, please
He
look
said,
it up.
yeah, he
You
said
have to
Hidden
look it
Figures
up.
is a great movie that shows the greatest. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you was here, Bearden, for when I got to that part, but I did tell him about Hidden Figures, and that was, it was a testament to how we accomplished the moon landing and whatnot. He didn't see it, but yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I have to check
But
that
wait,
out.
so what about the Indian one? Like, what about it?
It looks generic. It looks fake. It looks like it was generated on a Sega Genesis.
Like,
Like
you mean the real footage of it?
they don't have real footage of it, but they have people in like a command center. Everybody got on like headsets and stuff, looking like the typical moon mission command center. And then they have this digital what the hell
This thing,
landing
okay.
on the moon, and everybody gets to cheering.
Wait, okay, so I need to.
And this was recent. I feel like this was
okay.
in like the past 2 or 3 years or so.
I really need to know. Is it that? Oh, they did this a couple years ago?
Yeah.
I need to know. Hold on. Watch this. Let's watch this. I've never seen this.
We can see the Honorable Prime
Please.
Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who is here to encourage us. And he is critically looking at the visuals.
Bro, what is that?
Is it like 1 frame per second? But these not people. This is just a craft, right?
Apparently that's a craft, but no, I didn't see any people or anything come out.
Nobody's in it.
This is literally all it is.
Let us
It's
all
mostly
wait to
people in this
hear
command center.
from the Secretary Department
But
of
that
Space and
digitally
Chairman ISRO,
crafted
Shri S.
moon
Somnath.
landing.
It looks like
And
they
they're trying
just. It
to-
looks like it was a camera that was at 1 frame per second. But at the same time, what was recording it? They probably had
Exactly. You see?
maybe they had a satellite out there. Maybe they now I don't know where India is as far
Look at
as
that.
advancement in technology, but if they have like a satellite out there that's only capturing at 1 frame per second, this is why they're that excited that they landed something on the moon, because they're behind. This is just telling me that India's just really behind. You get what I'm saying? Wait,
do you
India has become the first country to successfully land a spacecraft near the South Pole of the... Oh, because it's the South Pole. That's why they're excited.
Okay.
In a moment that drew cheers at parties around the country. So I guess the excitement is that accomplishment of landing it on the south part of the moon.
So, looking at that picture, you think that's authentic? Like, you think that was...
I don't have a reason to believe it's not. It do look crazy. I will say it looks crazy as hell.
It has rocket thrusters coming from the bottom, yet no wind, no debris, nothing getting kicked up.
Well, everything is so slow moving. I don't think you. It looks like more like a reenactment of seeing what's happening. It looks like they like took it and made it like a video game and showed it to everybody. Yeah, that footage looks weird. I think it's a simulation for their lunar lander. Excuse me. Yeah, it looks like a simulation of what was happening, as if they couldn't film it in real time, so they simulated it. That is what it looks like. It doesn't look like the actual landing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I agree with you. You said look up the Chandrayaan-3 lunar lander. It's like a gold box with lit. Ain't that what we looking at? That's what we looking at. Yeah, Bearden, that's what we looking at. Yep. Maybe he's just behind on the stream. Yeah, so I do agree. This looks like it's literally a simulation. That doesn't look real at all.
My thing is, if they were able to do this, what was that, last year?
Yeah.
2023?
Yeah.
Why couldn't they film it? Why couldn't they get actual footage of it in the 60s?
Do you think you talking about us or them?
Anybody. Us, them, anybody.
Well, again, I think the goal was that they landed on the south side of the moon, though.
Not to, he
said on Google
or not to, show
what?
the journey leading up to. It's just, we skip ahead and we...
Wait, you cut out on me. What did you say? I can hear you now.
No, I was saying, why couldn't they film anything, considering this was last year? Like,
I don't know
I would imagine they would have some type of camera, a webcam or something.
I wouldn't say couldn't versus didn't choose to. I don't know. I'm not. I ain't prepared to say what India should have did. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It, like you said, it shouldn't have been an issue. Bearden, all these pictures, my issue is why none of them look like a real picture. This looks like a real picture. Everything else looks like a animated picture, a design. The rocket looks dope as fuck though. Hello?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is this like none of these are all designs. These aren't real pictures. I want to see a real one. I guess this is it. Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't have gone and taken pictures of real footage, because I mean we still have the ISS going and everything, So I don't know why. Like I said, India might just be behind, but if they landed on the south part of the moon, then that's, I guess, an accomplishment. But it seems like, I saw the real one though, Bearden. I saw it. I do wonder why they wouldn't just record it in real time though. That's pretty. I don't know why they wouldn't. I don't know. And that does look like a simulation. That wasn't. I doubt that was like actual footage of it happening. And I don't believe
they
that at all.
couldn't get no type of actual footage though. None whatsoever.
I don't
of the launch.
I don't know. But look though, you say that, but we actually have footage of them on the moon though. You know what I'm saying? Like, even with all your questions, like everything that you question about it, we have that footage, and it's hard to say.
Let's look at it.
Okay, let's go there.
And Collins arrived.
Okay,
We rolled.
I want want to get
The next
okay.
day, Sunday, July 20th, was landing day.
And a lot of anticipation. We finally come to the day, the moment that this is about to commence.
Landing on the moon was absolutely the most difficult piece of any Apollo mission, okay? Think about it as a controlled fall out of lunar orbit. The problem is, in this controlled fall out of orbit, you only have enough fuel for one try.
That's why we have so many, but that's why we've had so many mistakes and shit go wrong. Like if everything doesn't go right, then you don't have the landing. People die or you don't do it.
Everything doesn't go right. In this case, where the margin of error is unsurmountable.
Yeah.
Any small smidgen of a mistake can cost everything.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest things that has me questioning that they were able to do all of this, put that thing down, flip it, and reverse it. And come
that
back
sounds like a song. Put that thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
That's Missy Elliott.
Oh, I'm tweaking. I'm like, I'm not tripping. I'm like, that sounds so familiar.
They can do all that and come back unscathed.
One time.
One time.
Yeah.
Bro, did you see the recovery? Like when they landed back
in the ocean?
Yes.
Yeah. What about it?
I just reviewed that video again right before we got on.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Okay, first of all, it's so much context. They granted that they were in space for how long? 8 days or so.
Mm-hmm.
They've been trapped in this lunar module that's been in free fall towards Earth. Let's just say, okay. Imagine if you were on a road trip for 8 days.
Mm-hmm.
There ain't no getting out of the car to stretch. There ain't no rest stops. You would think you would come back to Earth disheveled, crippled, tight, something. Why these people land and they scooped them up, took them in the helicopter, landed the helicopter on aircraft, what you call it, an air carrier, and then had them walk off of the helicopter to get into this decontamination chamber, which looked like a mobile trailer.
I didn't watch. Now, whatever that is you watched, I didn't watch. I thought you was just talking about the.
Please look it up, my brother.
Bearden said Kerbal Space Program is a space simulation game. Oh, I know that. Darkness, you might love it. You basically playing the perfect space road tripping back there. I heard about that game, Bearden.
The trajectory.
Okay. Kerbal Space Program. I've heard about that game.
And wrong. They were targeted into this. I'm
gonna look at that video you talking about though.
Hospitable place. Then they had to fly over this area at a high forward velocity, then pitch up to slow down so that kill their forward velocity, and then start down like a helicopter. So now we're critical fuel state. And that's why the 60-second call was given. And then the 30-second call.
Time out. Go back. Go back like 3 seconds.
Start down like a helicopter. So now we're critical fuel state. And that's why the 60-second.
Do you see that at the bottom left corner?
What am I see? The clear thing?
Hold on.
The call was given.
Right there. There you go. Bottom right corner.
Okay.
Is that the curvature of the moon?
My assumption.
We're critical fuel state. And that's why the 60-second call was given.
Relatively close to the moon at this point.
Yeah.
Like they're orbiting the moon pretty closely.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm not trying to go into the whole flat Earth thing, but considering the fact that people say that the Earth can appear flat is because it's so massive. This planet is so massive, you can only see so much from a certain perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, looking at this moon, we can assume that they are relatively close, but you can still see the overall curvature of the moon, which makes this look
60
way smaller than I would imagine the moon actually is.
Well, the moon is a lot smaller than the Earth for sure. Or that could just be, it could just be
forward velocity and then start down like a helicopter. So now we're critical fuel state. And that's why the 60-second call was given. And then the 30
I don't know if the camera moved and you saw like a piece of inside the module or something, or it could be seeing a curve. But the moon is significantly smaller. I'm not saying you're supposed to just see a curve. You know what I'm saying? Being on it. What a video of them on it.
Tranquility, Houston, turn blue.
was all.
Oh, show the part where they're walking. Maybe they don't show it in this video. I know there's I want to see the video with them walking on it. Because the fact that you could just simply, when they're on it, you can just simply look. You can see the curve.
You can see it right there.
Yeah, you could just see it. You can just see it. That's how the moon is. The moon isn't nowhere near the size of the Earth. So, yo, Cree, what's good? Yeah, you're just not gonna. I mean, yes, you can see more of the curve. It looks flat in general, but you can see the curve because that's how much smaller it is.
Look at the curve compared to their bodies. You can't even see that type of curve 30,000 feet in the air from an airplane. They're right there, and you can see that much of a curve.
Yeah.
You don't see a problem with that?
No, I don't.
They're literally standing, like you can see as they stand. It doesn't seem that far back where the moon starts curving.
Look at the difference.
I get it.
To scale, I guess.
I'm not saying
that's a huge.
Compared to a human.
No. I get
Imagine
it. No,
like they're standing on a ball right now.
I fully get it, but I think this is such a significant difference that it's not unreasonable to think that
to see that type of curvature from the ground.
How big is the
I could see if they were.
The moon is about 1/4 or a quarter the size of the Earth in width. Put another way, the Earth is about 4 times wider than the moon. And there's nothing to block you seeing the curve either. You got to think about that as well. There's nothing. There's nothing to stop you. Like there's no elevation in height or anything. No buildings. No nothing. No. You know, you ain't got to worry about no water. No nothing. It's just literally the surface. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So you don't believe anyone ever landed on the moon? I'm tardy to the party. He doesn't not believe it. He just has a lot of questions that he can't wrap his mind around.
And it seems like more things come out and it's more questionable the more we look into this.
Can you see the curve of the moon from its surface? I don't want to use Reddit. I don't want to use Reddit. The answer is yes.
And again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't or couldn't see the curvature of the moon, but again, compared to their relative size, there is no way you would see that much of a curve from that perspective.
I get what you're saying. It seems like it shouldn't be, but if it's not, what do you suggest that it is if it's not actually that? Like if it's not that you could just see the curve, what else? What's the explanation?
Oh,
because
they're actually on.
Huh?
I mean, we can get into the conspiracies of it, but that I feel like is a set. That's not the actual moon.
Well, I know this isn't any full blown fact that stamps it to be correct, but you know that MythBusters like recreated the moon landing picture to a T, and they got the same image. The image that they took.
So they recreated it to a T.
So as much as they could while being on Earth, of course. You know, they can't. They're not there, so you know what I mean?
You saying they were here.
No. What I'm saying is to the best of their human possibility, I know. Yeah. So and I just think that even the issue I have is if it's not real, the effort that they put in to make it as close as possible should have made it a stark contrast, even especially if they're going to be on Earth. You get what I'm saying? It should have been like, if they're on Earth and not even on the moon, and they tried to get as close as possible and it still came out the same, I think that's kind of like, it's kind of hard for me to explain that any other way.
It kind of proves the point, though, because if they were able to recreate it and they were not on the moon, that would mean that the example that, for lack of better words, the example that we've established.
Basically, you're saying that they both did it on Earth. So
Yes.
so wouldn't that kind of negate the fact that like we're smarter now? Like, wouldn't that negate the fact that we have like 60 years of technology and intelligence that we've gained?
That wouldn't negate it. As a matter of fact,
So
I feel like that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. If we were able to do all of this back then, I feel like at this point, maybe I'm jumping the gun. Maybe I'm thinking too far ahead. But I feel like if we were actually capable of completing this mission the way they said back then, I feel like by now, this conversation, we wouldn't have no room for this conversation, because I feel like at this point we would have either seen multiple missions back and forth to the moon, or we would be at the point right now where we could take a shuttle to the moon, me and you.
Well,
We wouldn't have a conversation about whether this was faked or not.
Is one too risky and too expensive, and it's not necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like it would be way too much money, way too time consuming, and there's no need for it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying that that's what we need. I'm not saying that that's the goal. I'm saying that given the time, we should be in that realm somewhere. Maybe
I think if they wanted to go to the moon, they would be able to fix a lot of the mistakes. I just think that there is just no need for it. So they won't. I get what you're saying. Like you asking questions and there are answers to them. I just don't know them. You know what I'm saying? But the people that work, you know,
by definition, so black.
Look,
our photo.
They was basically talking about how, you know, there's no light coming from it, so the picture should be black when they take it, because
there was a secondary fill light illuminating him.
People feel like the light the conspiracy is that they had a light put on Neil in order for this picture to be taken, because there's no light source.
In the shadow, when there's only one light source on the moon, he would by definition be black. Our photo here proves just the opposite. That with a single light source.
So you see the single light source, which is the sun. And that's their picture. They recreated like a statue. They recreated the module. They recreated the type of dirt, the type of dirt that's on the floor, all that.
I see a stark difference already.
What?
I see more shadows on the actual moon than on that person on the NASA side. You get what I'm saying? Compared to the astronaut on the Mythbuster side, you can see the shadows that's casting on his legs and on his shoulders, but on the NASA side, he's clean. There's no shadows whatsoever.
Their figure is probably just a little darker. They like use a little action figure. They probably put shadows on the little action figure. You get what I'm saying?
I can see that.
To recreate a shadow of the real person.
So the surface is the same reflectivity as the moon. Our astronaut is
all those creases in his suit is probably recreated shadows,
clearly
is my
visible,
guess.
Busting that myth. There was.
Let's see if he got that part where he's holding the statue. I mean, the action figure.
The landing module, astronaut, lights, and camera sorted. Surf at the area. It's at the jump to the moon.
Scale module.
Going to shine ahead a surprisingly talkative toy astronaut.
This is my 1/6 scale model of Neil Armstrong. I can tell it's Neil because he's got the red commander of the mission stripes on his suit. What's that, Neil?
This damn 240p ass video, you can't see nothing for real. Bearden asked, what about the mirrors on the moon? Yeah, mirrors on the moon?
I think I heard them that they said they use mirrors to shoot lasers at the moon, and that would determine the distance and
Yeah, that's what he said
speed and all
actually
of that.
prior. He said NASA bounced the laser off a cookie-sized device on the moon in January, retroflector on India's Vikram lander. Yeah, I guess that he's just further saying like we got there somehow or another. Also, the point I was gonna make was, yeah. So I know you said you don't want to lean hard into the conspiracy, but it kind of is like, okay, well, if you don't believe it, you have to believe that what we saw was something else. So my thing is, what about everybody that was watching the moon take off in person, like in real life, in real time, that was physically there and watching on their TVs as they like took off in a fucking rocket that went into the
you can
distance?
see a rocket laach. That doesn't
And then
mean
what?
that you can see the rest of the mission.
Wait, then what?
That's why
So
they
wait,
can
wait.
say
So okay. We would you agree that two people could keep a secret, but 2,000 is no longer a secret, right?
okay, yeah.
I think it's more unreasonable. I think it's more reasonable to believe that maybe we went to the moon versus thousands of people and their acquaintances were all in to lie to everybody for no reason. Whether or
That
not
doesn't mean that they were in on it. They could have been completely oblivious, like everybody
so who's
else.
in on it?
I would assume the people, the government, the political powers that started all of this. Because mind you, this moon mission was not for discovery. It was not for science. It was a race to see who can get there first. It was a political move between the U.S. and Russia.
Okay, so why wouldn't Russia out us if Russia accepts it? They had all
What you
the
mean?
incentive. Russia agrees that we made it to the moon. They don't say we didn't really do it. If they have all the incentive in the world.
I would think on a grand scale, like is bigger powers than just who dictates what in the space realm of each country. You get what I'm saying? Like I don't think that NASA or the Russian equivalent of NASA would have any jurisdiction over putting out any information about the US. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they would have. I'm not saying that they wouldn't benefit from outing us, but I think there's a bigger, what's the word? A bigger governing body, let's say, that's restricting them from doing so.
That's a lot of that. Like I said, like when you have to think about how many people will have to be in on that type of deceit, there's absolutely no way that secret would never get out, and that there's somebody that has something to gain from that. Because if people are so deceitful to lie about us making it to the moon, there's no reason anybody will have a reason to keep that secret from the entire world for fucking 60 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's so many people that's okay with being able to lie to everyone on Earth, there should be people that's willing to out it.
I agree.
Whistleblowers whistleblow for a lot less.
But once it gets to the point where generations have passed and this whole story has been passed down for generations, it gets to the point where even if you do out it at some point, everybody's not going to believe it. You can
well, you would have to have proof.
This grand story.
There's only proof that we went to the moon. There's no proof that we didn't.
You sure?
There's no proof that we did not. It's only questions that only certain people could answer, or if you really look it up, you could get answered.
Okay. Well, you want to look at that the recovery, and you tell me what you think about this whole thing.
What am I typing in?
Moon landing recovery. What did I look up? I think moon landing recovery should suffice.
Is this
that
it?
one.
16 mil.
Yep.
Unedited.
There's no sound.
Okay. Wikipedia has the presidential speech written for a failure in event of moon disaster is the title. Dang, that's interesting. That's interesting. Bearden, I'm gonna have to look that up. He says Wikipedia has the presidential speech written for a failure in the event of the moon disaster. Basically, a speech if we didn't make it. They had a speech ready.
Okay.
I was just saying it's interesting. That's all.
You can skip ahead because
Yeah.
a lot of it is just
I figured.
that floating.
And you're mainly talking
Navy
about once they're
SEALs.
on the helicopter.
Yeah,
And once they
that's them pulling them up.
okay, like here.
Yes, perfect. Now this is after the helicopter landed. They pulled the lander inside the aircraft carrier,
Mm-hmm.
and this is them getting off in the quote unquote decontamination suit.
Mm-hmm.
Notice how they walking.
Mm-hmm.
Now pause. You see that decontamination quote unquote thing that they just got into?
Mm-hmm.
We'll put a tab on that. Now, again, they were just in space for over 8 days.
Mm-hmm.
They were just crash landed into a ocean where they were recovered by the Navy. They brought them to this helicopter and they just walked out like it was just another day of work. Like they not tired, they not dirty, they just regular as hell hopping off the helicopter after being in space for 8 years. I mean 8 days. 8 days. Now, why do they have decontamination suits and everything, but everybody else is just regular as hell? If y'all were really that serious about decontamination and whatever bodies of, whatever they got out in space, if y'all were that concerned about it, why doesn't anybody else have on a decontamination suit?
Because they don't need to be decontaminated.
So if you just came from space, ain't no telling what type of bacteria you have on you, but they can just walk off of this helicopter unscathed, just regular.
Walk off the helicopter.
Wait.
So you're saying that because they got off, they landed in the water, they got rescued to get to the helicopter where they then got decontaminated. The decontamination is probably for their skin, not the suit. Right?
Okay.
Potentially. I'm guessing.
Now look at that. That's
What
them
is this?
talking to Nixon from the. You can rewind a little bit.
It'd be cool if it had sound, man.
So this is President Nixon walking in. And from this decontamination with a freaking curtain,
Mm-hmm.
look at them, just clean, pristine.
Wait, what do you think they're gonna look like? So you don't think it's possible they just prepared to be in space for 8 days? Like they knew that it wasn't like a question. They knew how long they were going.
Sir.
What? I mean, look, I'm not saying it doesn't like, I'm not saying that it's not like crazy as hell. I'm just saying like, if you knew that if you had to be in a car for 8 days, like you said, you're going to do your best to prepare. And they probably did their damn best because their life is at risk with this mission. So they probably over-prepared.
Showers and
no,
barbershops.
I'm not saying they had shower. Well, honestly, you have showers and barbershops. What do you mean? they have hair on them.
I'm saying
a shower is not gonna. You're not.
Clean.
They're not.
Look at them.
What do
There's
you?
no.
What would you look like if you were in? What would you look like if you're in a ship for 8 days? You're not doing anything. You're eating. You're talking. You're sleeping. Like what else? There's no reason they should look like they went through mud or anything. And they were in suits.
I'm not saying that they should look like they went through mud, but also they haven't showered, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Also, they've been crammed in this little box for 8 days. I would imagine they would be limping, they would be stretching, they would be tight, they would be sore, they would be crawling from atrophy. I don't know.
Well, they was in the helicopter before they got here. They probably could have done all that in the helicopter ride.
So you mean to tell me that they decontaminated, They cut their hair, shaved their faces, took a shower.
Wait, who said they
And-
cut their hair and shave?
Look at them. Clean.
Wait, you don't have to grow hair in 8 days.
Are you kidding me?
You don't have to, or he never had the face. I don't know what he looked like
Shave it
anyway.
For 2 days, you would start to see.
I don't know what he looked like
You
prior.
would see some type of growth.
Wait.
Look at the faces,
on,
bro.
hold on. Where's the picture? Isn't it a picture? Dude has a mustache now, bro. He has a mustache now, and he didn't have one. He didn't have one at some. Well, I'm not gonna say this is the picture they took before they left. I'm not gonna say that. But regardless, at some point he doesn't have a mustache, and he does now. So maybe it grew.
Okay.
I'm not. Yeah, like he could have left with no mustache. I don't know. But if there's a point where he didn't, then maybe it grew. And the rest of them don't have facial hair at all. Buzz looks like he doesn't even grow it. I mean, who's that? Michael Collins. He looked like he don't even grow hair.
So you telling me after 8 days they won't have no type of fuzz and Buddy got the perfect mustache?
Potentially not. I don't know. I'm not saying he has to one way or another.
And keep in mind they are fresh off the helicopter.
And I don't know what they did on the helicopter. They used the
It wasn't
same
all of
razors.
that. I
And
know
that
that.
too, like they used the same razors and creams that were, if they had it, maybe they had it with them. That's not unreasonable. Like when they were on the ship that they were shaving, if need be. It helps you pass time, that's for certain. Or they could have done it on the helicopter when they was flying to base. Like let's say they want to be safe. If you want to give the best faith argument, they probably tried to get in the best shape that they could beforehand. Like, you know what I'm saying? They probably wanted to be in good shape beforehand. They were probably eating as healthy as possible. When they were on there, they probably got all of the nutrients that they knew that they needed for that 8 days, probably in surplus to make sure that they're okay. If they wanted to shave and whatnot, they probably had the stuff for them to shave. Or they did it when they landed back and they got ready to look presentable to the country once they got back on that helicopter, which honestly makes the most sense. If they're going to be on TV, they probably groomed them on that helicopter ride.
Of course.
Yeah.
But you would agree that it would have to be a significant amount of time for all of that to take place, wouldn't it?
I don't know what significant means to you. I don't know.
Okay. I would imagine at least a day or so to get them to that point.
No, you're acting like they look like runway models. They just look like regular guys, bro. They don't look
like runway models. They hopped off the helicopter like runway models. They
was
waved into the
they
camera
probably
like
happy.
we do this all the time. We're back.
They're
It's just another day.
They're in a good mood. And they probably well rested. Bro, it took a day it took how long to get back? Hours? At least a day?
So you mean to tell
2
me
days
that-
to get back to Earth? They probably rested.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, your questions aren't unanswerable. It's just a matter of if you're willing to accept it. Because if they're literally doing nothing but flying in orbit to get back to Earth, their concern is only making sure they're on the right trajectory. And once they get to orbit, that's when they have to do something. Otherwise, you're just in there. And you're probably sleeping or grooming yourself if you have the space to do so. And once they got rescued, they probably did it on a helicopter.
Okay.
How long was the re-entry? Yeah, let me see. They got the whole conversation typed out that they had with Earth and them. That's
What's
cool.
this?
Excuse me. It looks like the entire mission, all of the communications and time stamps.
Mm. I'm just saying, Mello.
These niggas
If me and
195 hours. Like,
If me and you took a trip to Atlanta
mhm.
nonstop, like literally, we didn't even get out to stretch.
Okay.
You would think that
I would.
once we
Sorry.
did arrive, you would be tight. You would be disheveled, maybe. At least a little bit. Wouldn't you?
I think there's a difference in. I think that okay, but if you want to be more analogous, we was going to Atlanta and it took 8 days or wherever it took to go for 8 days. No. I'm sorry. We're just talking about the return. So, I'm gonna take Bearden's what he said. 3 days. We're in the car for 3 days straight. The real analogy is you get out and you get to get on a bus for a couple hours before you get to the American people.
Mm-hmm.
You get out of you get out of the car and then you get into a bus. That's enough time to stretch, eat, shave, whatever.
Decontaminate.
Whatever. Yeah, decontaminate. But
that's my biggest thing though. Not the biggest thing. One of the biggest things is the time that it would take to do all of that and how haphazardly they went about this. Again, if they just landed and they just recovered them from the shuttle, I would imagine they have some type of remnants of space still on them. We don't know, I would assume.
Well, they landed in the ocean
things
though.
do.
3 days and 15
that washed
minutes.
it off. Milo, is that what you're saying?
Wait, what are you? I don't get what you're saying. I don't get. You're saying what? I'm guessing the decontamination is about the skin. I'm guessing, even though their skin wasn't exposed.
No, it's about exposure in general.
Okay.
If you were out in space, there's no telling what type of bacteria is out there.
Right.
You come back.
Mm-hmm.
You land in the ocean. You are rescued.
Mm-hmm.
The people on the rescue mission had hazmat suits and all of that.
Right. That's because they was in close contact with them.
I mean, you take them out of the shuttle, put them on the helicopter, fly them to an aircraft carrier amongst hella regular people.
Wait, no. Didn't they get straight off of the aircraft into the contamination thing? They're not. The people that's in close contact with them, yes, have the suits on.
You don't consider this close contact?
They're not touching them.
You know there are airborne pathogens.
For sure.
Look at them. Oh yeah, just another day at the office.
Wait. Did they not put this suit on in the aircraft?
They would have had to.
Right. So
now they're getting into another decontainment.
Right. They probably kept these dudes covered, and the guys that were in contact with them was also covering themselves. So their body never got exposed to anybody else because they put these suits on to come from the craft into the decontamination to then take those suits off so their skin or their body wasn't exposed to anybody around them.
Okay, what about this dude in the orange right here? He was in the helicopter with them the entire time. He doesn't have a hazmat suit on. Just regular. We can argue that nobody
else. He has a jumpsuit on. He doesn't have something over his face, no, but he has a suit on.
We can agree, or we can say
and also you're forgetting that they still have their suit on too. They have. He probably took his suit off, and they have their suits on. 21 days of quarantine. USS Hornet, the recovery ship where they entered the mobile quarantine facility. He said they had 21 days of quarantine.
Yeah, that looks like 21 days of quarantine right there.
I mean, this is just the video.
That looks like 12 minutes of quarantine.
Wait, when did they? Wait, they in there. Do we see them get out?
No, you see them shaking hands and answering questions from a window with a curtain.
Right, but do we see them? Do we see them again doing anything? Well,
no.
They was quarantined for 21 days. They didn't even interact with the American people.
They did. They just
Nixon. Yes. Oh, Okay. They shook his hand?
Yes. He reached into the box, which is crazy.
The quarantine probably was more so just to check their vitals and to see if anything goes wrong with them over time. Bearden said it. He said they did 21 days of quarantine, so I'm assuming that that's just like tracking them and seeing.
After this?
After.
Okay.
I'm assuming like the 21 days begin after this. I think it wasn't probably about like you might have bacteria. It was probably just to see how their bodies are reacting to the trip afterwards to make sure no after effect or long-term effects. You get what I'm saying? That would be my guess if they quarantine for 21 days. But yeah, they didn't. Yes, Nixon if he shook their hand, that's one thing, but he probably was willing to take that risk for whatever reason. But in general, they didn't even react with anybody.
Again, I don't know. Again, this is what I'm saying. Like the whole safety protocols, the measurements that they've taken to supposedly get them to the moon and back does not equate to the precautions that they're taking when they get back. You know what I'm saying?
I get it. I don't see. I haven't seen anything egregious enough to not think so though. You get what I'm saying,
sir?
What?
If they had any type of pathogen, you would think that one, all of those people would not be there. If they are going to have people just walking around regular, it's not going to be that many people just out in the open with some space people with God knows what type of pathogens or whatever. They're not going to have that many people there. One. Two, they're not going to have these people hop off. First of all, land on an aircraft carrier with a helicopter, then drag the entire helicopter into the aircraft carrier for them to walk off of. Like, why couldn't they walk off outside?
Outside?
This, to me, outside the aircraft carrier. Like, they literally brought the helicopter inside. So this, to me,
yeah, so they could go straight into the thing.
Sir. The point I'm making here is that this is all a production setup. This was all for a show.
Wait, wouldn't that be? Wouldn't you not put on a show so you don't get caught of all these? Like, if all of these things are possibilities if it's putting on a show,
we have to put on the show to make the people believe that we went to the moon and back and everything is hunky dory.
But people weren't even that. I don't think there was the conspiracy theories weren't a prevalent thing then to be trying to lie to everybody.
And that's my point, Mello. You said this earlier. You said that why would they have any benefit to out in the US, or why would they lie about all of this? At a certain point, even
we don't know, Rasta. That's the thing. Go ahead.
At a certain point, like I said, even if you come out and say that all of this was a lie, most people are not going to believe it. One, because most people don't even know the details, the ins and outs. They just know that, oh, supposedly we went to the moon and that's it. But nobody knows the inner details, the bits and pieces that add up to everything. It doesn't make sense.
I don't see why it doesn't make sense. I think you're just asking questions that you don't understand and you're saying it doesn't make sense. That I don't even understand how computers work. How can they design any little pixel to create a form of something? Somebody out there can explain it to me, but that doesn't mean because I'm asking it doesn't make sense. That's not a reason to reject something because you don't understand why something is happening that way.
I agree.
I have no idea how anything on my screen projects and I see it the way that it comes out at all, but it's happening.
So if we can, Jesus, this is going to be never ending loop. I feel like if we were capable of doing all of this, at a certain point, the argument would have to cease. We wouldn't have the capacity for any type of argument. There wouldn't be any type of confusion. At a certain point, you would think.
You would think that with Flat Earth too, wouldn't you? People still question it. And it's This is more of an argument that I could entertain than flat earthers. That argument is absolutely ridiculous, and people still ask. Like, I don't think there's no way to say there's still questions. People can ask stuff. It's either you're gonna accept the answer or you won't. You know what I mean? Like, it's just some people are gonna be geared towards thinking something, and some people go thinking another. Like, there's literally there's people. I don't want to do this, but I don't know how you feel. I don't want to get into it, but there's literally all the statistics and facts, and even with your own eyes, you can see that the COVID vaccine helped more than it hurt. And there's still people that are out here saying it killed more people and there was a worse option than not getting vaccinated. But there's no reason anybody should believe that if they're being objective about what happened. People question everything that they don't understand, and then once they get an answer, they like, nah, I don't accept it. But that's not good enough. Now, I'm not saying believe everything. I'm not saying there isn't a point. So. No. Yes, there's always a healthy level of skepticism is perfectly fine in most cases. But the thing is, to question something to no ends, even if there is some type of answer that's reasonable. I think there's reasonable answers that one could accept, and then they'll be like, I don't know, but I don't know, it is what it is. But to reject it off of not being able to understand the answer isn't fair to me.
That's not what's happening. That's not what's happening.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a giant puzzle, right? We can deconstruct and ask questions about each and every little aspect, but it all adds up to the overall bigger picture.
Right.
Now, you can ask a question and give me an answer, and I can be like, yeah, that makes sense. But what about this?
Mm-hmm.
If you give me an answer to this and it contradicts what you just said, now we have a different problem. I'm not saying that because I don't understand any of this, it just doesn't make sense, so I don't want nothing to do with it. It's okay, I can accept this. I understand this part.
Right.
But when you put 2 and 2 together, I'm not getting 4 personally. You getting 4. I need to know what the difference in our math is.
Wait, so where do you feel is a strong contradiction?
I'm saying in general, like I said, we can talk about the finer details of this entire thing, but at the end of the day, the finer details to me do not add up to the picture that everyone else is getting. And I'm not saying that because it doesn't make sense to me that, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I don't want to accept any answers. I'm willing to open in to any answer, any type of answer. However, the answers that I'm given are not adding up to each other. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. What was I finna say? Hold on. I was messing with my computer. Okay. So you don't believe in do you know what Occam's razor is?
Vaguely.
It's basically a concept of usually the simplest answer to a question is the right one. Usually. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like that's a cop out in some sense.
But I'm gonna go in depth. Like, say an example is if you're outside and you hear a trotting noise like a gallop, you're safer to assume it's a horse than a giraffe. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, it makes more sense. Now, it does not mean it's no way on earth that it's not a giraffe. You know what I mean? But you're probably right if you think it's a horse. If you're just like in a given setting, depending on where you are. If you're at a zoo, of course anything goes. So, but if you're just out in public, you're probably safer to assume you hear a horse running than a giraffe if you can't see it. You get what I'm saying?
I get it.
So,
now, put that in terms of this argument.
Okay, and I will. As far as the moon landing, we know that technology and science does a lot of things that's complicated, right?
Yep.
There's things we experience each and every day that's like mind-blowing. Like, how did we ever get here? We know that we at least have the possibility to get objects into space, right? Because we track the weather, we track natural disasters. There's an ISS that you can look at any given time that tells you exactly where it's going to be and what time, and you can look up in the sky and see it. There's all types of things we've done with space. We can take pictures of things in space. We've had, so the story as it is now is that we went to space. We have video footage of it. We've had people try to debunk it, and from their attempt to try to debunk it, got the same results that come to it really happening. You have millions of tens of thousands of people that work towards making this happen. They get paid every day to have this job, versus tens of thousands of people in on a deceitful mission to make everybody think we went to the moon and didn't, and put on a production. Because I don't get it. That makes far less sense to me.
It makes far less sense. Say that last part one more time.
I said it makes far less sense to me that all of this is just because, especially if there's not any like financial gain in it. And there's other people have all the reason in the world to disprove it.
Oh man. I feel like we would be opening up a whole nother rabbit
Can of
hole.
worms.
Because like I said, it's so much to all of this. It's more than just this. We haven't even scratched the surface. I feel like we're
I know it can be
looking
tired.
at this objectively. And again, neither of us know the inner details.
Mhm.
So we can sit here and talk till we blue in the face. But at the end of the day, this event either happened or it didn't.
Okay.
The way that it's been put out there, the way it happened, does not add up to everything else that came after. Meaning we had several moon missions apparently between 68 and 72, but where's the footage? Where's the data from all of that?
Wait,
Where are the attempts after that?
well, we did try after.
I'm saying they had moon missions from Apollo 11 to up to 17. I
Yeah.
believe 18, 19, and 20 got canceled.
Uh-huh.
So
Because people were
from the
almost
other,
dying. Like, remember Apollo
from the
13?
other- of course.
Right. So, I mean, at a point, you're not finna just keep trying to go there just cause, and people are get on the brink of death.
So we can agree that their entire purpose of getting there in the first place was political. We can agree.
I think that politics could play a part, but I think it's mostly out of human curiosity. I think that's bigger. I think, well, listen, I will say, especially in the beginning stages. I think initially it was literally to know things and to be the superpower of the world. I do think that there's a level of ego in it. I'm not gonna say that it's non-existent. I'm not saying that. There's a level of ego as far as politics and just the image of America. That's totally a factor. But I think that initially it was out of pure human curiosity, because we wouldn't even be as advanced as we are if people weren't just curious about things.
I agree.
Yeah.
So you telling me that out of curiosity, the U.S. government decided to spend however many millions, billions on this entire project just out of curiosity. They went through all the great lengths to come up with this seemingly impenetrable math to calculate what it would take to get to this moon and back. They managed to do all of that out of curiosity.
No, I said politics plays a part. I said that, and I said initially, but don't you? I said initially it was probably curiosity, and then there was some ego put into it, but over time when it was like, yeah, let's do this, Said America won the space race, Russia ran broke trying. That was the goal. Yeah, like Beard and I accept that it was a level of competition in it, especially towards the end. But also, don't you think that if we was gonna lie, we would do it more than once? Like, why would we only lie about making it once and every other time people almost die?
It's hard to keep up a lie for too long. You would agree, wouldn't you? Now try keeping up multiple lies. That's probably why they canned the whole project.
If you think, okay, it's hard to keep up a lie. If all of the people and pieces are in place for this one lie, it's still a huge lie because you're lying with so many people.
Yeah.
I think it's harder to keep up with people involved in a lie versus the longevity of it. Excuse me. If 2 people know a lie for 50 years, chances are it won't get out. But for 50 people to keep up a lie for 50 years, I think that's a little absurd. And we're talking about more than 50 people. We're talking about thousands.
Okay. So what I'm saying is everything else after this mission, where is the documentation? Not the documentation, but where's the footage of any other mission?
I know there was. I haven't. Have you looked them up?
That's the one that exploded.
Yeah. I mean, they even the first one where it blew up they even recorded the trials where the freaking ship blew up.
Okay.
I hate when they do that.
I don't even know where to begin because, like I said, this rabbit hole can get so deep.
Wait, oh.
But look at that lander, bro. Look at that lander.
This one?
Yeah, look at it. You mean to tell me that 3 people were in there for 8 days and came out just regular? They had all the space in the world. They had all the time and leisure.
Well, you got to remember.
shave.
No. Remember, it connects to another part. That was just to land on the moon, and the third captain was still.
Let's talk about that for a little
bit. In orbit.
Let's talk about that for a little bit. So, this aircraft had to reach some type of velocity to leave our atmosphere. It dropped off, different bits and pieces along the way. It traveled 230,000 miles into space, landed on the moon successfully. Meanwhile, there's another part that's still orbiting the moon all while this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
It said that they spent, I believe, 21 hours on the moon. I could be wrong. Somewhere in that range. And then they relaunched off of the moon to reconnect with this module that was orbiting this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, how did they have the capacity, the overall setup to do all of that, to calculate exactly when and how and the angles to launch just so that they can reattach? And how did they not then go barreling off into space after relaunching?
That video I was finna show you explains it exactly.
See, all of this, I can accept everything all the way up into the point of getting back home.
Is it that you don't? Is it what is it that you? What part is the? Because like I said, this video can the margin of error. Facts. They did the math.
Insane.
We did that. There's some people out here that are fucking savant intelligent.
I believe it.
But
and I can even admit that even if they had that type of person on their squad, they're still in
the margin of error is just yes. Jordan, I believe that it's absolutely insane. But I think that's why we only did it once. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you've seen those videos where like how many people get shot in the head and live? You know, like few. And I'm talking about like the brain's penetrated, not skinned. You know, like, but it can happen, but more than likely no. It's just odds, which is why it's something that's been done once. And I
Wouldn't
think
that be an example of Occam's razor? I could be wrong, but wouldn't that be an example of you can assume that this whole thing? I don't know.
well,
it
because
can kind of
I get what you're getting at, but at the same time, we know that things that just seem very unlikely do happen. You know what I mean? Like we literally can point to things in real life where it's like these odds are so unbelievable. I don't even know how it happened, but it does. Again, which is why we did it once. Everything worked and it happened once.
Just under 1 day.
So
Columbia, which had been Eagle, ascended from the lunar surface to rendezvous and dock with Columbia.
when I
which
saw
had been
this,
orbiting-
I was like, when I watched this, I was like, how the fuck do you do that? Like, how I don't even trip off the orbiting. That's understandable. But they already all of this was chosen on this. You got to realize the days they went was chosen specifically. They had to stay for these amounts of times specifically. You get what I'm saying? Like, and then you got all these people on Earth working with you to make sure that, you know, y'all still okay. Well, we looked up the communication they use. That's the type. I don't know how it works.
we ain't gonna get into.
I mean, we don't know a lot of stuff. I don't know how the ISS could be tracked, but it is. You know, so I looked at this. I'm like, how you just floating around? But you know, that's how orbit works until you get out of it. But they chose this day because they knew the trajectory and the time that they needed to go around the moon before they could lift off to get back into space. You get what I'm saying? Like that's part of the reason why everything worked is because they chose the time at the right time.
the moon during the.
It wasn't like all right, we just gonna go on this date and then hopefully everything goes right. It's like the rotation of the moon, the placement in it within the atmosphere, at the time of year, everything had to be right.
I agree.
Yeah.
But what Andre say, you can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather.
Facts. Which
You
is
can
why
do all
we've done
the
all
math
that
in
and
the world.
still failed multiple.
You can
We
do-
failed more than we've succeeded in this mission.
Did we? 'Cause
Yes.
They don't have any records of that. They don't have any definite records of how many times we've attempted and failed this moon mission.
You
They
talking
said
about
that the manned moon mission started with Apollo 11 and 69. Prior to that, they were looking at going to the moon.
well, the issue was even getting to space first. You know what I'm saying? Like we couldn't even get to space at first. And then once that got accomplished, it was the moon. But I'm guessing that this risk is so high that they couldn't do it again. And when they did try to do it again, it didn't work. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the first we had to accomplish getting to space. That was the issue at first, remember? And then it was orbiting the moon.
can
Then
you
it was
look up-
landing on the
Matter
moon.
of fact, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up.
lunar
What?
When did they start? When
landing.
did they start?
Columbia docked with Eagle, and Armstrong and Aldrin reunited with Collins in the CSM. The LEM ascent stage was jettisoned, and the CSM entered the trans-Earth injection
Yes.
phase
Yep.
to make the voyage back to Earth.
There. It was the
Hold on,
phase
I
of the
missed
moon
that.
that they needed to leave the moon at a specific phase, which is what they're saying.
Okay.
Which is what jettisoned them out of the moon's orbit to go back to Earth.
Mm. Okay. I'm just gonna assume that they had the magical capabilities of flipping and turning the module off of the moon some type of way to then reattach to an orbiting module and then somehow use the gravitational pull of the Earth to successfully make it all the way back. But where I'm having a roadblock is how in the beginning they said that again they had 12 minutes of fuel just getting to the moon. How do you have enough fuel to relaunch,
Wait, I don't think
recalibrate however you need to, and then make it all the way back?
it wasn't the fuel to get. It was the fuel to land. It wasn't to get there. It was to land. They had to hover around to land at the correct spot the correct way.
Okay.
And once it was there, there's no fuel being used. And then the fuel needed to be used to get out of the orbit of the moon. 12 minutes is was what they needed for landing. They have fuel to get off, and once you're in orbit, once you're out of the orbit of the moon, you don't really rely on fuel. They're not using fuel to get through,
That's what I was
through
saying,
space.
the gravitation pull,
Yeah.
the Earth.
Yeah.
But again, my biggest hang up is how were they able to relaunch off of the moon, connect to this thing, and then have enough fuel to course correct, I would assume. You know what I'm saying?
You don't. I mean, you don't need fuel because, like I said, you don't need it after you're in you're in space. They don't need any fuel. The problem was that they was using fuel because they probably needed the force to land correctly, so they were using it. But once they landed, it's no use for it. And then once you need it to get off again, you good. And then you use the gravitational pull of the moon to get out of the orbit.
Okay. Let's agree with all of that.
Uh-huh.
But taking it back, would you agree that if they were launching from Earth and they had this rocket propulsion the entire way or majority of the way, you know what I'm saying, to get them outside of the Earth's gravitational pull, they needed rockets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're rocketing towards the moon, and I believe they said the journey took 3 days. Would you agree that if they were propelling towards the moon, yet using the moon's gravity using the Earth's gravity on the way back, would you agree that it would have taken longer to get back than it was to get to the moon? Considering that they don't have rocket propulsion, you said that they don't need to use launchers in space. But you would agree that it should it take longer?
No, even if it took longer, taking longer doesn't require usage of fuel. If that's what you're saying, I'm not sure if I'm understanding.
That's the point that I'm making. I'm negating using fuel. Let's assume that they didn't use fuel,
Okay.
but they're using the gravitational pull of the Earth. Wouldn't it take them longer to get back to the Earth than it would for them to get to the moon?
I thought it took 3 days to get back too. Didn't it?
It took them 3 days to get there. They spent the day on there, and they came back. And I think the entire trip was 8 days and like 40 minutes or something.
3 days and 3 hours to get there.
Mm.
2 days and 22 hours. I don't see why it would necessarily take longer. I don't see the reasoning. Especially also if you also have to take into account how close or far the moon was from the Earth at that point.
Okay. That's fair.
So it could be a little bit closer at that point. And depending, where the Pacific Ocean was at that point, potentially. Because I'm not sure. They didn't land in the same place that they took off necessarily. So.
Okay. I mean, what's the end goal that we're trying to get here? 'Cause I feel like we could beat the dead horse all day.
No, yeah, we could, of course, endlessly. I think that I'm not saying that you will or have to change your mind, but I think even if you were to change your mind, it wouldn't happen right here, right now. Even if you were to ever change your mind, and if I was to ever change my mind, it wouldn't happen here right now at this point in time. We'll just keep poking and prodding. The reason I like these conversations and dislike them is because I agree that we all need a healthy level of skepticism. I just think that when we question certain things that more so break the fabric of who we are as people, I think it's just kind of leading to Darius territory, which is why I don't like anti-vaxxers. I don't like that shit. It's just you're really endangering people. We've already had somebody lose their life because they were a flat earther and wanted to prove us wrong, and he killed himself. So it's just like certain things is dangerous to. I'm of course I'm not impeding free speech. I'm just saying that sometimes when people argue certain things, it just leads to a road of nowhere.
I can agree.
Yeah.
And that's I also have a love-hate relationship with these type of conversations because it's like
it's a love-hate.
it's room for growth, it's room for understanding, and we all know that we can occupy the same space but see everything completely differently.
Yeah.
And no matter how well you argue your perspective, everybody's just not going to see things the way you see it.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, like I get the room for growth and progression that comes from these, but at the same time, it's like we're just arguing perspectives. I can say this is a 6, you can say it's a 9, and we don't just be arguing forever. But at the end of the day, like I said, at a certain point, I can agree that, skepticism does get a little tiresome. But personally, I'm willing to ask all of the questions that need to be asked because I'm not the type to just blindly accept anything that's put in front of me. Like, I'm going to take the pieces that's given to me. I'm going to look at them individually, put them together to see where they fit. And if it doesn't fit, or if I conclude that this particular piece, and I'm trying to sum all of this up. If this particular piece to the puzzle doesn't fit with this other piece, I'm not going to throw the whole puzzle away.
Facts.
I'm going to try to figure out, okay, if not this, then what?
Mm-hmm.
And in my search of doing so, it just uncovered more and more questions. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, we can sit and question and wonder till we blue in the face, but nobody really knows. Nobody knows for real.
I mean, to be fair, the people that did it know, right? The people that actually did it know.
What's the inverse of Occam's razor? I feel like there should be.
I don't know. If it is a concept, I don't know it.
Whatever that is, I'm gonna coin the term, but I just feel like everything shouldn't just be like, yeah, that's simple enough.
No,
that makes sense.
For sure. Like, okay, for example, I don't know if I buy into OJ. It's so many questions. The people that was there involved know. I don't know what happened, but I don't have the capacity to have such a strong. Now I'm not trying to attribute you as having a strong conviction of being right and feeling like you're not wrong, because I don't believe that's how you feel. I just think you just
That's not how I feel at all.
Right. I don't think that's how you feel.
I would love to be wrong.
Yeah. So
please prove me wrong. Just show me. I would accept it.
So like with OJ, I'm not going to go around arguing one way or another strongly. You get what I'm saying? Because I don't know. And then to draw it to this, it's like I haven't seen enough that's just because I don't understand something that I have to go against it. And also the biggest thing about it is there's no harm. You get what I mean? Like, it's no harm in me assuming that everything is on the up and up with the moon landing. You get what I mean? But then you got people that's like the flat earthers, they assume it's wrong. You get somebody to try to prove it wrong and kill themselves. So it's just like, or the anti-vaxxers, they think something's wrong. You don't get vaccines and your kid dies from measles. Like, this is the type of shit that I have an issue with. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I just kind of be like, you gotta really pick and choose what you want to really rally. Now, I'm not saying you did because I brought this conversation up. You know, you're not running around telling people the moon landing didn't happen or nothing like that. I love it. And, you know, I know with you going to give a good argument. So, versus some people just are anti to be anti. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
no.
right. And I think your questions are, you know, they make sense. Like, and of course, you know, we not the scientists behind it. But I personally, from what I've seen, it's not enough for me to not believe it. And to not believe it seems way harder to do than to just think that everything's on the up and up, just for me.
I get it. Everybody's not willing to go deep down the rabbit hole. There's only so far that's even worth it.
The COVID vaccine was not created fast. That's a misconception that a lot of people. That I didn't take the COVID vaccine at first either because I was just like, I'm like, man, this shit new as fuck. I don't know nothing. I was really skeptical. I was skeptical, like most people was and should have been. I wasn't like, oh, they got the vaccine, I'm finna get it. I didn't get that shit till I had to get it. And once I started looking into how it was made, how it's freaking actually better than traditional vaccines, the way they make it, it didn't get made that fast the way people think, and it didn't go through less trials and testing than any other vaccine. I was like, okay, this is just a new vaccine. But since these are unprecedented times, a lot of people just don't understand that. So, yes, COVID was not brand new. It didn't fall out the sky. And Obama left Trump with plans for it, and Trump said, fuck that. Like COVID wasn't brand spanking new. It was known of. It just took over. No, I mean, but what are you comparing it to? I'm sorry, Jordan. I don't know that. I'm talking to chat. You want to hop on? You don't have to. If you don't want to hop on, you don't have to hop on, bro. You want to hop on? It'd be easier to talk. You know, I ain't doing that. You still got plans later today?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually gonna wrap this up in about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, you good, bro. I think yeah, hop on, bro, if you want to talk about it.
We got a lot to talk about, man. We got a lot of conversations to have.
No, this was fun.
I still wanna run that Great Pyramids thing back.
Now with that, I will do it. I don't have as strong of a conviction though, is the moon landing. I will do it, but I'm not as strongly, I don't have as much conviction for it, you know.
I get it.
Yeah. No, I mean, Rasta, if you want to hop on, you can. I'm not going necessarily. If you don't want to hop on, that's fine too. But yeah, I can still do that one. I just wanted, of course, I want it to be separate from this because we'll be here forever.
For sure.
I gotta do a little bit more digging on the pyramid thing.
Please do.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I'm not as strong. I don't have as much conviction. So because what I do know, I got questions too. So I just gotta dig a little bit more. So shit, I might be on your side. So you feel me? I'd like to have some more information so I won't sound crazy. I mean,
I feel like this should have.
That's why I was trying to do. Give you the info. What'd you say?
I feel like this should have like a multi-part, if need be.
What you mean? This convo?
Because like I said, yeah, we haven't even scratched the surface. There's so many different rabbit holes, and that's only if you choose to. Because like I said,
right.
we could sit here and beat this horse till we tired.
Yeah.
So we can't beat it no more.
Yeah. For me, I'll be on this bitch for 8 hours if I had the time, and you know.
Yeah.
So I just be trying to get on here when I can. So I think for the sake of that, as far as my schedule now, if we do this again, we probably just pick a different topic altogether. And then if it's ever a point we wanted to circle back, we can, you know.
Bet.
Yeah.
All right, my man. I'm gonna go ahead and skedaddle.
All right, bro. Sounds
well,
good.
we can definitely run this back. We could definitely do this again, different topics. I'm down for the discussion. It's been a minute since I had
got to
this
do this
type of.
It's fun though, ain't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I be trying to, get people to have conversations. You not into politics heavily, are you?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I'm
okay.
not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Why?
Yeah.
Just
at this point in my life, like I said, it's I don't even know where to begin with that one.
It's all good. I was just curious why you did. Why not? You know.
I'm just not with the theatrics. I'll just put it at that.
I hear you.
I just feel like it's two separate wings on the same bird. It don't really make too much of a difference to me, and I could be ignorant. I'll accept ignorance in most political factors. I'm not going to pretend to be any type of political science or any type of poli-sci major or anything like that.
Right.
But at this point, it's like, given everything that I've seen in politics, it just seems like a big show to me, and I'm just tired of watching.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, I'm not.
I get anybody that don't.
Anti-politics.
No, I get anybody that doesn't
for it
care to discuss it. I'm not finna sit here and convince you to get into it. I get it.
Right.
I'm not even into it, quote unquote. But it has recently made me realize a lot of things that I'm just paying attention, and I think I'm gonna pay more attention from this point going forward, more than I have before.
I feel that.
Yeah.
And I've been looking into not extensively, but just seeing what's going on in today's realm, and it's so clowned out to me, bro. I can't take any of this stuff seriously.
Definitely a show now. It's more of a show.
It's definitely feeling like
I think it's just
sitcom,
I think that's just the result of the times that we're in. You know, it just seems like that's the way we've been moving over the past few years. So everybody makes everything a show, even when it don't have to be or shouldn't be.
like that whole assassination attempt.
Yeah. Excuse me. What about it?
I feel like that was a show in itself, because it's like,
I question that too. I questioned
if
it.
you just got an attempt made on your life, I don't think
Hopping
you
up.
would have any type of capacity to be hopping up talking about, let me get my shoes, and then taking a picture like, yeah, we did it, we survived. Like, come on.
There's quite a few things that I'm gonna try to go through this quick. I know you said you're finna go. It's funny because I don't know how I feel about the attempt to this day. I don't know. I don't. It's a big risk if it was a show, but the thing is with that, like you said, him hopping up for the fist just seemed too perfect of an opportunity for him.
Mm-hmm.
The man said they're looking for a shoe. I think that's because he needed the height, because he was going to be a lot shorter. So I think Trump he wanted to make sure he wasn't looking crazy with one shoe, and his height would have been dramatically different.
He needed that for the picture.
Yeah, he needed it for the picture, everything. And just like you said, and for if the thing is, if that was real, Trump is no, this is the thing. If it's real and Trump hopped up for that fist, that's how crazy he is. That's how crazy he is as an individual. I don't think that's smart for anybody. And if it's not real, it was a giveaway.
Man.
Like, yeah, I still don't know how I feel about that. Now see, it's some conspiracies that I entertain. I entertain.
Have you seen his ear recently?
I haven't seen it recently. I haven't looked at it. It looks untouched.
Untouched.
Yeah, man.
And I think he even spoke on it. He said something along the lines of magical healing or something.
Man, I don't even listen to words that come out of his mouth and take them seriously. I don't even take the words that come out of his mouth seriously at all.
That's why I don't take none of this stuff seriously. This is all a show. This is a sitcom or reality TV, and I'm just tired of watching.
Yeah, I hear you.
But all right, bro, I'm gonna go ahead and slide on up out of here.
All right, man.
Enjoy the rest of your stream, man. For sure. Hit me up next time.
We can even, like, if you're gonna keep Discord, we can have convos in the chat too, or whatever.
Bet, for sure.
All right, bro. Appreciate it.
All right, peace.
Ross, are you here? I was saying hop on. I get what you're saying. Like, of course, my perspective ain't gonna help you. I was gonna say, like, if you had legitimate questions, I could answer. Like, if you just, like, if it's stuff that you was gonna ask or whatever. Or if you know you really feel strongly about how you feel, then I wasn't finna like, try to ambush you or nothing. But it's some stuff that I know for a fact that's like facts that's like that's not like arguable. But I understand anybody's skepticism of the vaccine. I got a little bit of time before I get the kids. Oh shit, I ain't mean to do that. Trying to decide if I want to stay in this. I want to stay on stream or just get off. And let's review a video so I get my take on something. I mean, yeah, we can. I wanted to watch this because it seemed like Candace was talking crazy. Candace has become a staple on my channel, but I don't know what else is out. What's something? Do you have any suggestions? I don't want to do nothing like the pop the balloon stuff like that. I already did Abba and Preach with Fresh and Fit. But I seen Candace Owens saying some crazy shit with Tristan. So I don't know what else we got out here. Hold on. I don't know what's going to come up on my YouTube. I wanted to hop on that Abba and Preach vid, but you did that. Damn. Yeah, I did. I didn't. Duke streaming. Myron's clapback. Yeah, Abba and Preach, them niggas, they is not letting up. I think they did something in between, though, that wasn't. Oh, they did the ray gun breakdancer, girl. What? Bro, they funny as fuck. Talking about some booty queef. Booty queef. Them niggas, booty queef. Booty queef. That shit funny as hell. Oh, what did MTR do? What did he do? Did he what the fuck? Why is every channel saying it's a problem? Bro, okay, I'm finna exit out. Cause my YouTube is every video I try to click on is saying there was a problem. But did MTR, did he do something new? The jazz he be taking in women just be too extra. My dad confronts daughter live about her outfit. Yo, D Nice, what's good? Appreciate you for sliding through, gang.
Welcome back, Weenie.
All right. Single mother with BBL gets roasted. Women try to take something fatherless. Women with BBL roast instantly. I haven't seen much, but I know what you're saying.
Guys,
he's leaning into the heart and too hard into the
an hour long. It looks like they have.
Oh shit! It's a review for Black Myth. Okay, I'm sorry. This is what we watching. We gonna watch this review of Wukong, but nah, he just not as chill as he used to be. Seems like he be trying to be a Kevin Samuels on Perks. I bet you he do though, bro. Cause like these guys, they lean so hard into the manosphere grift that they can't go back. It's no room to go back because if you go back, you're gonna lose your audience. But then you got people like me that don't even want to watch you no more. When you were more balanced, I don't even want to watch you anymore because you're not even being fair anymore. And that's why I liked you at first. But now I think when he hit a stride with the red pill, and I think his channel probably grew faster when he was getting into that, the harder he leaned to it. You know what I'm saying? I think you talking about this Black Myth or you talking about the one I clicked on with MTR? I don't know. Yeah, bro. Like it don't feel right. What's good, bro? We finna watch this Black Myth Wukong review because a review got leaked from IGN supposedly, and they were saying that it wasn't good. And I find that pretty hard to believe. So I'll trust game rates like a motherfucker. So before I spend my money on Black Myth, we're gonna watch this review. But hold on, I'll be right back. E-Nizzle in the hizzle. Appreciate Miss Alf and this bitch. All right, let's see what this Black Myth Wukong video.
Hey, we're back
review.
with another episode of Before You Buy. That show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, and today we're talking about Black Myth Wukong. This is a big action.
First of all, that boss look fire. You see this fucking erect tiger?
Combat adventure from Game Science.
God
this
damn.
is a mobile developer jumping into
That
their
shit
first
raw.
big console PC game. Now, this game has been slowly hyped up for years, from its graphics to its character and story, and we've been cautiously keeping an eye on it. Now, keep in mind with this video, this is my first impressions after the first like 14 hours or so, but I'm actually liking this one more than I expected.
You standing erect,
It's
bro.
fun.
Everything ain't, y'all, you sexual fucking deviant. Erect. It got more than one meaning, nigga. Is this gonna be like God of War game or Elden Ring? I don't know yet. I don't know. I think it's more in the God of War vein than Elden Ring. But I guess we'll see. We'll see.
For sure, but I think if
that's the word I used.
if you had your
Expanding my vocabulary.
eye on this and you were hopeful, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's ambitious, and even where it stumbles, I think this is a great debut for this studio. And just so you know, I've been playing
a part of me feel like I trust Jake. He gonna be objective, but I feel like he's gonna be a little, cause tall wasn't my point. It wasn't about the tallness. It was him standing on his hind legs. That's what was cool to me. But I feel like Jake is going to be generous because this is a small studio making a big game.
review copy on PC. That's where all this footage is, and all of this gameplay footage you see here is spoiler free. So if you haven't already heard this, it's important to note that Black Myth Wukong is inspired by the 16th century classical Chinese novel Journey to the West. Now, this to me is one of the game's defining bits. It's why I was interested. You play as a badass monkey with a staff, and you go on a really varied adventure fighting zombies and creatures, rat kings, evil ancient monks, dragons, you name it. This is a fairly linearly structured game. With
Okay,
some
linear, I guess it's probably like God of War then, bro.
versions.
He said, "Stop being a child."
It's not really a Souls-like, like many people expect.
Yeah, he said it's not a Souls-like,
sure,
bro.
You rest and level up at like bonfire checkpoints, but that's really where the comparisons end. This is an action combat adventure.
Yes,
with
that's
light
what I
RPG
need.
elements. You have some stats to worry about, but you're not upgrading like a multitude of stats like endurance and strength and magic and intelligence. No, it's all just focused on, you know, the basic level up and simple loot and character progression through a skill tree and some other tricks along the way.
Oh, me.
Now, your character as a
I feel bad though, bro, because I know you was so excited and committed for that shit, but it's like, at what cost? At what cost? Is it my sanity worth trying to beat this fucking game?
Line has a heavy and light attack as well as a dodge. A lot of it is based around focus points, so you need to dodge and strike and do well to build this up, or hold a button to waste some stamina and charge it up,
Bam.
and then bam. When you have these points, you can launch a more powerful heavy attack that can often stagger enemies and have other bonuses. You can also deflect
that was
certain
sick.
enemy projectiles, but otherwise, your main defense is really just dodging like crazy.
That was
Perfect
sick.
dodges are rewarded with a satisfying effect and a little bonus. So get that focus stored up and hit triangle at the right moment, and bam, a Monster Hunter greatsword level slam dunk that just feels so
Yeah, you play as the
satisfying
monkey.
to properly pull off. There are also multiple stances.
That's a big reason why I don't play certain RPGs. I don't like that not telling me where to go shit. I hate that. That's why I don't play Zelda. Like, Zelda could be so much fun to me, but when you just drop me and just go wherever the fuck, like I don't like that shit. I don't like that.
Swappable on the fly with the D-pad. These stances are really just variations on the monkey's staff. Oh, did I forget to mention that it's like a staff that can transform? Because that's part of the ancient lore, man. Get with it.
Transform
these
into what?
Don't change your entire fighting style, but they do matter the most with that charged heavy
that
attack
shit.
for situational shakeups. There's the big heavy slam, which is just so satisfying. I tend to stick with that as the main. But then there's the elevated staff, where the monkey perches atop it like a tall pole, avoiding some damage while also charging up a big downward slam. There's more, and I'm still experimenting with them, but I'll let you discover them. They seem pretty situational, and I've had a tendency to only swap to and use them in specific instances, more than just having them equipped and using them consistently. Even still, sometimes it's tough to learn where exactly a stance might work.
I hope it gives you a lot of room for combos. I'm trying to see it, but I don't know. Nah, yeah, I think it's like Elden Ring as far as they keep showing us these boss fights, but it's definitely, he said it's not a Souls-like game. It's an action game that's linear. So I'm excited about that because I didn't want another RPG.
Because enemy attacks are so insane and aggressive, it can take a lot of trial and error to really get what the hell you're doing with a stance. A lot of the times you're given these stances and then their use case isn't really spelled out for you. You gotta just figure it out. But still, I kind of like these implementations. Along with that...
Yeah, it's a linear game. It's like A to Z. That's what he said. He said it's linear. Yeah, you
have a magic meter that
it's like God of War.
You can
Spider-Man
spend on special abilities. The first one introduced to you is a temporary and pretty short enemy freeze, like catching them for just enough time to land a few hits. Some of these abilities are offensive, some that help a little bit in the defense department.
That's literally the biggest reason why I haven't bought it yet, and if I was gonna buy it, it was gonna be at a discount. I just can't get with that.
And they're paced throughout the game and seem effective, but more importantly, entertaining and fun to pull off at the right moment. It's just so good to screw over an enemy at the last second. These are on cooldowns, but the bigger challenge and strategy is not burning your entire magic meter before getting to a challenging enemy where you're really gonna need it. You're also essentially defeating certain enemies and collecting some of their abilities. Our hero character is canonically like a shapeshifter, and throughout the game, you defeat and earn the ability to transform into these enemies temporarily. There's a full transformation.
Why is it temporary? I hope he showed it.
Like you can temporarily become a different creature and walk around and kick ass, or ones that you trigger and you will transform for a moment for like a quick thing, or like a big special one-hit attack, or like a poison blast.
Nigga, show it.
That. These things give variation to a pretty simple striking combat system. You can do light attacks and then time it right with a heavy attack, and the animations are incredible, but after a while you might find yourself just doing the same best combos over and over again. It really only matters when an enemy feels like a grind, or like when you're fighting low-level enemies. The more complex bosses, you really have bigger things to worry about. Is the combat most refined, the most laser-precise, balanced thing? No. If you were looking for...
I really wish he shows us the transformations. He's talking about it, but ain't showed it yet.
Souls-like, this is where you might be disappointed if you were looking for even more depth, but I had fun with it. Story-wise,
I'm not looking
it has
for that.
a lot going for it because of like what I said, like what it's based on. I only know the basics of Sun Wukong, but I was really just here for the ride and to be exposed to Chinese myth. You get mysterious tales, beautiful vignettes, thoughtful quotes, really well-designed and cool-looking characters and cinematic action framing.
I get not trying. I think we just. This is one of them. This looks like a transformation.
You just kind of go along.
He looks like a wolf.
I did cool tales, beautiful vignettes, thoughtful quotes,
Oh,
really well-designed, and
he turned into the thing he fighting?
characters and cinematic action framing. But I didn't really get a good feel for a sense of story. You just kind of go along. Things happen and characters say things and quote random things, and it really does not do a good job of ushering people into these ancient tales. I was still curious the whole time and had fun seeing cool stuff, but I wasn't like compelled or emotionally invested. It's just like a secret.
I'm not gonna lie. After this, I'm gonna go back and we're gonna look at the original Wukong. I guess it was a trailer or a teaser. It's not. It looks like they scaled it back a lot. it's scaled back a lot from what we saw originally.
Sequence of really cool stuff.
I'm gonna go back,
Now,
but
the
I
game is
remember it
structured in
looked like it
chapters.
was a lot.
There's
it scaled
typically
back
a big bad boss at the end of a chapter, and it's a matter of you getting your way there. You might run into one mid boss that kicks your ass, so turn around and find another.
Rusty, you saying I think so too? Like what I just said. Like, do you think they scaled this back from when we first saw that teaser?
Alternating path that likely brings you to another mid boss you can cut your teeth on first. Occasionally you'll run into an NPC or a little mystery, but this is mostly areas with a few mob type enemies that mostly aren't too crazy, and then a few tougher guys here and there, and then lots and lots of bosses. Like, I mean it. You can fight one unique boss, walk through a hallway, and then bam, there's a completely new, different boss ready to square up. This is where the game is really ambitious. Like I said, the amount of unique fights feels really, really damn special. The amount of times I was in a glorious, over-the-top, brutal fight with, like, you know, screen-filling.
But I said I was going to talk about games on this channel too, so,
oh,
you
man,
know.
this has to be the end of this whole chapter or sequence. You know, maybe I'll get a big cutscene or something. And then I finally beat them, and then nope, that was just a regular pedestrian boss in the middle of a level with another one right around the corner.
Bro, that tiger looks so raw.
This game rivals some of the best bosses in other like regular action games.
That tiger looks
really
so
damn
raw.
Impressive. From the level of challenge to
bro,
the music
don't do
and
that.
setting
Don't
to,
do
like,
that. I feel you making me feel like a shitty person in his mind. Like, damn. Hey, you gotta filter them in. You know what I'm saying? They want to see more gaming stuff. I'll tell them to meet me over there, you know?
The over-the-top crazy movesets of some of these enemies, it's just nuts. And I've been having a lot of fun just consistently encountering new cool stuff.
That's hilarious.
It
He
makes
said
it
no
feel
love.
really well-paced. And also got me a little addicted, man. Like, I kept playing after I said I'd stop because I just
if it
wanted
got
to
a
see
level
the
of
next new
addiction,
thing around
I love
every
any
corner.
games that makes you feel like you got to keep playing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not traded in controller for candy. That man said you traded in your controller for Candace. Oh my God. I'm dead. That was funny. That was funny. That was funny. Fuck Candace Owens.
Corner. And it's just really fun when you get a good run going and you just feel like a ruthless badass. When the combat hits, it hits. Now, some of the big boss enemies go so insane that they will actually trap you in a corner and like the camera lock on screws up and makes it so you can't see attacks are coming. This happened to me.
It's funny though, the Candace views is high, but they all because of people that hate me, well, that worship her. I got a lot of negative feedback on that on my last Candace video because her cult came in and rated it. But none of them argue my points. They just like, you got like 2 people here and there that argue with my points. The rest of them like, Candace is right, you're wrong. You're just a shill. Oh, the Democrat Party. Oh, Candace is a queen. It was like, y'all just as stupid as her.
Way more than I'd like.
And that's how you know they full of shit, because nobody's arguing like points. They're just like, Candace knows what she's talking about. And it's like, no, she doesn't.
Annoying when I was doing well, but happened to get boxed into a corner by a taller enemy who jumps in the air, and then the camera.
And that's the thing too. I will show stuff to disprove what she's saying in the video, and it's just like, no.
Camera gets stuck because it tried to pan up, and now like it's just a mess, and then I can't see big hits coming my way. Very frustrating. Also, if we're talking about annoying stuff, this game really needs a map. As far as I know, I couldn't find one.
Oh,
Even
no map.
if it's just a vague map,
That's weird.
It would really help, because some of the
It be
chapters
shit like that. It's like, how we in 2024 and y'all forget to put a map in the game? That's kind of crazy.
have really big areas. It is worth noting that you can revisit and fast travel back to previous areas, previous little bonfires if you want, but that doesn't really show you much in terms of like getting a good read on an environment, on a layout. But man, I will compliment the look of these areas. Level design wise, everything is really simple, like structurally. And I did encounter some invisible walls, which was sometimes a buzzkill. But otherwise, damn, these areas look really good graphically. Dry grasslands, deep deserts, lush green detailed forests, blinding
Yeah,
white
like I don't
snow,
get how you don't
and
have a map.
all of it, they really excel here. From graphics to art design, this game,
Even if it's a map where you got to pause to look at it, that's better than nothing. That what a damn map.
Gorgeous. Flowing rivers, lush foliage, detailed textures,
You're just telling the
striking
pros and
shadows
cons.
and ray tracing. This is the rare instance of a game that was like originally teased as a graphical showcase like years ago, and then the final product actually looks really good. With that being said,
I got 6 people in here. They ain't saying nothing, but I appreciate y'all for watching. We already had the debate about the moon landing. I'm sorry if the title is throwing you off from what I'm doing right now, but I had about an hour and a half conversation about the moon landing with my bro. It went really well.
PC.
I'm gonna post a video for it.
And even on a high-end PC, I did have some issues. The occasional stuttering, a few glitches with some enemies floating, a few crashes, and some little frame rate issues, especially as you get deeper into the game. Means if you're sensitive to this stuff, you should maybe wait or do some more research with a PC nerd reviewer. I've seen some critics not have any issues. I've seen some have worse than me. I also have not seen the console version of this game, and I believe none of my fellow reviewers have either, meaning definitely wait until we know what's up, because this game is coming in a little hot. The potential technical issues muffles what
this
is
boss look
otherwise
raw
a
too.
really fun game. Like I said, be warned, it's not a Souls-like, and some Souls fans might not love the combat, but
Yeah,
like
I
the
wasn't
challenge
looking for a
sure.
Souls game
Me
at all.
personally, playing this game, I'm having a blast. Wukong is a challenging, thrilling adventure with unique lore, setting, and vibe, and I definitely recommend it at some point. But that's it before you buy. You know how this goes by now. I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion. And now I want to hear yours down in the comments. Have you been looking forward to this game? I'd love to know your impressions from watching a bunch of gameplay and stuff like that. This review is dropping before the game actually is out, before you can actually buy it and play it. So we just wanted to get you some quick info here. Hopefully it helped. Enjoy the gameplay. Let us know what you're thinking about Black Myth Wukong.
Let's see the original. Oh, IGN reviewed it too. GameSpot. Okay. I want to see the original video we saw a few years ago. Okay, 3 years ago. See, is this in there? I don't even, he would have showed this or spoke on it. This was gameplay. This was gameplay 3 years ago. See, I feel like they would have showed this if this was in the game, man. Look at this. Just this big old thing just walking around. I will say, granted, Jake may be not trying to spoil stuff, but he didn't say like there's a lot of cool stuff that I don't want to spoil. He would have said like there's some really cool stuff in here that I just don't want to spoil. He'll always say that. But he didn't say nothing like that. Bro, I don't even know, because this is the trailer from 3 years ago. That's why I'm like, they scaled this game back a lot. I remember this. He said Bug's life is crazy. Yeah, you was able to be a bug and fly clearly. I'm sure if this was part of the game now, he would have said something about it. And I'm wondering, did people just forget what the fuck we saw? Because what I'm seeing now is just another action adventure game. But this shit was like, they was showing me shit that I never thought I've never seen before in this trailer. All right, Zodiac, what's good?
再往前走就是观音禅院，当年也是香火鼎盛啊。咦，只可惜，用而自会在。等你过了前面的栈道，咱们自会再见。
That's crazy. Iron Zodiac, they gave you War Machine, which ain't Iron Man, but it's still the fact that you got an iron suit. See, we didn't see nothing. I feel like Jake would have showed more if there was more to show. We didn't even see shit like that. The health bar looks the same. Maybe IGN did. You're right. We could look at somebody else's review. Whoa. Okay. This is the transformation. It wasn't this dramatic when Jake showed it. But let's see. Okay, that seems believable. Maybe that seems like something you wouldn't want to spoil. See, I felt okay. He might have been keeping all this from us to not spoil it. But all that shit, I think it's one that's even older than three years ago. I think. Yeah, like I remember when this came out,
Myth
we saw shit that was
straight
like,
up
what? I remember.
Oh.
Okay, we're gonna look at IGN next.
Man.
Hey y'all, Mitchell Saltzman here. I'm the reviewer of Black Myth Wukong, and just a quick note about this review. As part of the embargo agreement set for this game, I am unable to show you footage beyond Chapter 2, which presents a bit of a problem because a lot of the technical issues that I have with this game that I specifically call out in this review occurred after Chapter 2, so I'm unable to actually show them.
So maybe Jake was only able to show up to Chapter 2. Fair.
So we're going to do 2 different video reviews this time.
Maybe there was stuff
here. This first one will abide by their restrictions and only show footage.
I wish I could, bro. I think I just don't have the patience. Like to fully, I would do something like what Jake does. Like that's why when I do review games, it just be like impressions. I can't sit there and talk about things that I don't care about, like people frame rate and graphics and settings, and I don't want to be that meticulous when I talk about games. I just want to say how I feel when I play it. So it's a review in a way, but I can't do those technical reviews like these. I can, but I don't have fun doing that.
With the relevant footage added in on launch.
I feel you. It's like, yeah, it depends on what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're looking for somebody to just like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Appreciate you.
I've never been so utterly blown away, yet simultaneously so unbelievably frustrated by a game as I have been with Black Myth Wukong. This is undoubtedly one of the most ambitious and impressive action games I've played. It's stunningly gorgeous, its combat is fantastic, it's incredibly challenging, but always satisfying to overcome, and the setting is refreshingly unique and steeped in rich Chinese culture.
Not a headless person singing.
Despite all of that, it often feels like it's barely holding
okay. They still got the flying bug
together. I suffered numerous crashes, despite having a top-of-the-line setup with the GeForce RTX 4090. Not to mention the multiple times I fell through the ground and died in the final phase of a boss fight.
Damn.
Or the way characters would randomly switch from English to Chinese, or the way the dialogue audio would just drop out altogether and leave me completely in the dark during an important cutscene.
I low-key, I hope the console version is better because I plan to get this on console anyway. I hope the console don't have all these issues. But Rasta, you hear this, he's saying he's he's having problems on PC. And yeah, difficult but satisfying is a good sign.
It's a rickety roller coaster for sure, and there were definitely spots during the ride where I was not having a great time. But taken as a whole, this is one adventure where the bumps are worth it.
He said the bumps are worth it.
Black Myth Wukong's story is somewhat of a follow-up to the classic novel Journey to the West by Wu Chenggen, a book that I only personally know thanks to very loose adaptations like Dragon Ball and Enslaved Odyssey to the West. That surface-level familiarity didn't help much, though, as the interpretation that the developers at Game Science have crafted
They had too much riding.
is
Well, to be fair, Cyberpunk had a lot riding on it too, which they dropped the ball. I was gonna say, but this is Game Science's breakout, so like they couldn't flop this.
with reference.
And I think they actually push back the release date sometimes, and usually that's a good sign.
Characters and events from the novel without doing a great job of bringing you up to speed on who Sun Wukong is or what he encountered on his titular journey. I had to look on.
Interesting that now I'm what's happening, because he's showing all the footage we just watched from the 3-year-old video. Jake showed a bunch of shit that looked like he was really playing.
To understand who Zhu Bajie was, what his history with Wukong is, and what the significance of certain encounters were.
So maybe they kept that in the game, or he's just showing old footage.
I'd have been completely lost at times.
Because I'm confused.
You play as the Destined One, a literal monkey who wakes up one morning and decides to set out on a roughly 40-hour journey to locate the 6 relics of Wukong. While the moment-to-moment storytelling is fairly unremarkable, largely due to a mute protagonist and side characters that aren't given enough screen time to develop, each of the 6
I hate mute protagonists. Oh, that just kind of blew me. Like, why? Why, man? Why? Especially if other people around you talk. If the whole game ain't gonna be captions, why is it that everybody talk but you? I hate when they do that shit.
Contained chapters culminates with a stunningly gorgeous animated vignette that tells a short story about that chapter's main antagonist. Each one is done in a completely different art style, with one drawn to look like a storybook, another using stop motion.
Yeah, bro, your character don't talk, bro. You know how them games like back on PlayStation 1 and 2 games, like what's a game with a mute protagonist? I can't think of one off the top of my head, but basically where your main character don't talk. Everybody around them talk to you and you just make faces and look around and nod and shit like that. I hate that shit.
And another done in the style of an anime.
Especially when everybody else talks.
And I couldn't help but wish that the main story...
Usually they do that. Well, like Pokemon. No, Pokemon, everybody kind of got captions. But yeah, man.
To move me in similar ways.
That shit annoying. Look, why everybody else around you talk, but you don't?
Was that it was a Souls-like, given the checkpoint system, the stamina bar that governs your actions in combat, and the dodge-heavy fighting style. But as it turns out, Wukong has more in common with traditional action games, like what you might expect from Bayonetta developer Platinum Games, than it does with anything that From Software has made. Most of the usual Souls-like conventions...
But I thought that nobody in Pokemon talk. I don't remember if people around you. But yeah, basically, yeah, that shit annoying.
There's no penalty for death outside of respawning at the nearest checkpoint. You don't use a shared currency to level up your stats and purchase items or upgrades. And while there is gear and stats to consider,
right, like Bumblebee and shit,
swap out the old equipment with the new, as opposed to making choices as to what kind of weapon or piece of armor you want to hold on to and upgrade. And even though I am a big fan of Souls-likes, ditching those mechanics feels like the right move for the game that Wukong is trying to
like
be.
Everybody talk but you.
It's far more forgiving, focused on keeping you in the action rather than pouring over.
Bro, he holding a head while he's fighting you? What the fuck?
Menus or retracing your steps to regain your lost.
Oh, he's holding his. Does he have a head?
Dying,
oh, he does have a head. He's holding another head.
Game for it. To be clear though, when I say it's more forgiving, I don't mean that it's any less difficult than a From style game. In fact, I'd go so far
straight holding the head trying to fight. That's nuts.
To say that between this and Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, I had more difficulty getting through Wukong's toughest challenges.
Wait, what did you
Shadow of the Erdtree style game. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that between this and Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, I had more difficulty getting through Wukong's toughest challenges.
Wow. You heard that? He said he had more challenge in this than the DLC for Elden Ring. But that's fine. Like you said, bro, even if it's super difficult to beat the bosses, it's better if it's in a linear game because you know that this is just what you got to do to get past versus Elden Ring. You could run into a boss and you don't even know if you even have the capability to fight him at this point. But with this game, you know that when you get to the boss, that's where you're supposed to be at that point.
But at the same time, those challenges never felt
booty queef, booty queef, booty queef. That shit gonna be funny, bro.
Felt unfair, and overcoming some of the tougher boss fights was always a satisfying combination of learning their attack patterns, figuring out where I could maximize my punishment windows, and tweaking my loadout in ways that made the best use of my chosen powers.
Big ass bosses. It'd be raw if you could climb them and shit though. If they gonna be that tall, they should let you be able to climb them.
It's simple and elegant, thanks in part to some tools that are really fun to play around
You already know he finna say something.
Success hinges on a delicate balance of twitch reflex style.
Wait, was he the frog?
That are really fun to play around with.
Oh, that's
Success
cool.
Is simple and elegant, thanks in part to some tools that
a
are
whole
really
ass
fun to play around with.
frog.
Success hinges on a delicate balance of twitch reflex style gameplay mixed with careful resource management that largely revolves around a focus meter, which builds up when you land hits and perfectly dodge enemy attacks. You gain a focus point whenever that meter fills up, which you can then spend in the middle of a light attack combo for a varied combo, or you can just use a heavy attack on its own for a powerful strike that can be charged even further if 2, 3, or even 4 focus
good thing
points
you missed it,
are
because you would have
consumed
had
at
something to
once.
say.
You also have access to a small...
Okay, yeah, bro, you're right. Like, I'm glad you said this, because he is showing us way more in this game than Jake did.
Spells, governed by a mana meter, that are versatile enough to be useful in a wide array of situations. The Immobilize spell, for instance, freezes enemies for a short time, allowing you to get in some quick hits and potentially stagger them to allow for even more free damage. Cloud Step turns you
I'm finna have to
invisible
go in
and
a
creates
second,
decoy
though.
for
Gotta
your
pick up the
enemies to
kids from
focus on
school.
while you break away, heal up, and then hit your foe with a surprise attack that can
A
crit.
win is a win.
Rock Solid briefly turns you into a statue that will cause an enemy's attack to bounce right off of you, giving you an opportunity for a counterattack. Ring of Fire creates a barrier around you that will initially repel enemies and grant you some health restoration. Along with
I rock with Drake's before you buys, but he did not tell us enough. Like, he made the game look boring. He's showing us all these things you can do, which seem pretty cool.
Enhancing any stat-altering drinks that you may use while standing inside of it, and finally, there's along with enhancing any stat that will
the ring enhances what you.
Oh my god! Health restoration, along with enhancing any stat-altering drinks that you may use while standing inside of it, and finally, there's my personal favorite, a plug of many, which lets you make multiple clones of yourself to all gang up on an enemy at once.
What? Yeah, I mean, but dude is still. I guess dude is telling us everything you could do. He could do that before chapter. He could do it between chapter 1 and 2. Jake, I'm sure, had the same rules, so I don't get why he wasn't telling us all this.
You've also got transformation,
yeah, this shit
which allow you to
cool.
morph into powerful creatures that you've already bested in battle. What's really cool about these is that they don't cost any mana, they're tied to a very lengthy cooldown instead, and they turn you into a totally different character, complete with an all-new moveset, special moves that use their own focus meter, and more.
What?
For example, one of the first bosses that you fight is a wolf with a fiery dual blade that has a lightning-fast dash attack. When you defeat him, you'll gain his transformation and be able to do that very same dash attack to your enemies. And once you build up its focus meter, you'll even be able to do a hugely powerful leaping strike that can ignite foes and deal damage over time to them. And then finally, there are spirit skills, which are earned by defeating certain more powerful versions of enemies and absorbing their essence into your gourd. These are effectively transformations that only last for one attack and are also tied to a fairly lengthy cooldown, but it's great to be able to, for example, use the Wandering Wight's powerful headbutt attack to get an extra stagger after immobilizing an enemy. These spirit skills can also be leveled up, which makes it so that even
boys
the
being
early game spirits never lose
boys.
their strength as the campaign rolls on. It's an excellent blend of options, especially when mixed with some truly incredible boss fights.
That seemed like it could be cold. Like he just bust out that dude and did the headbutt, and then you just go back into some combos as your character, and like that cool down, and then you come back with the wolf with the thing. Like that shit seemed raw as hell.
And Wukong introduces all of these elements at a thoughtfully measured pace, so I never felt overwhelmed. Make no mistake, the Destined One is extremely powerful. and being in control of him is definitely a heck of a power trip. Even beyond the many powers and abilities he has at his disposal.
Hey, if as long as this shit ain't got no bugs on console, I'm getting this shit day one.
Nothing beats the feeling of just slamming a 50-foot bow staff down onto an enemy's head. But I still had to be smart with how I used my spells due to the fact that mana restoration is actually very difficult. This is where the resource management aspect of combat comes into play. I had to carefully consider what spells were actually worth the mana cost, whether I should save them for more
I guess, he grunts and shit, of course.
And whether or not I could capitalize on the opportunity if I were to spend the mana in the first place. For instance, even though it's my most powerful spell, I often had to hold off on casting my Pluck of Many spell that duplicates my character since it has an extremely high mana cost. If I cast it at a bad time, the boss could simply wipe out all of my clones with an AoE attack before they even got a chance to get some damage in. Sometimes the adjustment I had to make when I was stuck on a boss was a simple change in how I used my abilities, and the act of coming up with a new strategy and having it pay off was always extremely satisfying. While boss battles are where Wukong is at its best, there's also a highly respectable amount of enemy variety in its regular fights. Level design is of the wide linear variety, usually with a clear main path that leads from checkpoint to checkpoint, but plenty of opportunities to venture off that path to discover optional goodies. The rewards for exploration are great too. I've found rare crafting materials to make new weapons and armor.
Yeah, I like that
special
too.
enemies that drop a new spirit skill, curio items that I could equip to enhance my build, and treasure chests that might permanently increase my max health, mana, or stamina.
Let's go.
All of which made the time that I took to find them well spent.
Yes.
On top of that, there are also several secret boss fights to discover, key items with mysterious uses that I still haven't figured out, and plenty of more reasons to stray from the beaten path and keep an eye constantly scanning
I'll
the
stay
environment.
looking everywhere.
The main one being that Wukong is one of the most gorgeous games I've ever played. Every environment is brimming with detail, from the chipped pieces of bark on the trees in the forest, to the real-time deformation of the snow as the Destined One moves through it while dragging his staff along. Not only that, but the animation is impeccable
and
too.
that's what's crazy, because I missed the God of War where we had the big boss fights. Like, my favorite God of War is actually 3. So not even the remakes, which are great, but I love 3 because you get these big monstrous bosses that you like take the time to climb up and kill and shit like that. That shit was so raw.
With wonderful touches and flourishes, like the way your character will do a little hop step when locked onto an enemy, then change to strafing around them as opposed to just running straight on while keeping their head turned.
That was cool.
The music and sound design is fantastic as well, with epic drum-thumping battle themes and melodic flutes and chimes adding to the air of wonder and mystery as you explore the unknown.
This shit fire. I'm sold.
All that said, this game really would have benefited from a map.
You talking about
the lands you explore in Wukong?
You talking about the very first God of War?
They're far too
or you
big
talking about
and too crammed with secrets to not give you some sort of navigational help.
Hydra.
Especially the
you know what?
second and
I think I didn't even play 1.
This,
I think I only
along
played
with the
2 and
fact
3.
that it's aggravatingly hard to tell what obstacles can actually be
Ghost of
climbed
Sparta.
over and what's an invisible wall, can make exploration quite cumbersome.
As far as
It's a good
before
thing,
the
but
new
rewards
God
are
of
worth
Wars. Okay. Gonna have to pause it. I gotta get the kids from school. But this was extreme. You didn't play 2 and 3. Okay. This was extremely fun, y'all. Hopefully I can stream again sooner than later. Just hard to promise anything, you feel me? But nonetheless, appreciate any and everybody that slid through the stream. Rasta, D-Nice. Appreciate y'all, man. Iron, what's his name? Iron Zodiac, appreciate you. Darkness came through. We had a good conversation. If y'all missed it, make sure you catch the VOD or go back to the beginning of the stream if y'all want to hear that. But appreciate anybody if you made it to this part of the stream. Make sure you leave a like, comment, sub. If not 1, then all 3, and I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Peace.